remember starting a gratitude practice during a particularly bleak time in my life. And I just kept coming across this, like, I don't know, was it Facebook posts or just random stuff about, practicing gratitude. And at that time I was feeling pretty miserable. And the most immediate things in my mind were the problems, were the things that I mostly couldn't resolve, that were out of my hands to resolve them. And so it was really hard to find that feeling of gratitude for things. I had to really work on it initially. So for a while it just felt like I was doing it kind of automatically, because I didn't have the feeling for it. I was just saying the words, yes, I'm thankful for my house, I'm thankful for this, thankful for my job, blah blah blah, thankful for my bike, thankful for my car. And it was just, I was really saying it in a bored way, yeah. I didn't have the feeling that went with it. But it had a kind of a transformational effect. Because the more that I cultivated that feeling of gratitude in me, the more things began to show up that I actually genuinely felt grateful for. People being thoughtful, or something just kind of happening out of the blue that, something would just work out. The more miserable I was, the more inconvenient things happened. It's that energy of love, that consciousness of love, the practice of gratitude, the practice of kindness, of thoughtfulness. They're always flowing into one another. And if we're not in that, we're in the painful, complaining, or controlling, fearful side of things. Or we're making our way from one to the other. Yeah, it's very easily done. If we lose track of all the things that we're thankful for in our lives. Or we might all be familiar with this experience of things can be going well, and then let's say something out of the blue kind of happens and it wobbles us. And then it suddenly feels like everything in our life is a disaster. When, a day before, everything in our life was actually fine. So how our mindset can be affected by things that happen. And gratitude is a really reliable way of keeping our mindset a little bit more steady. When we find our way to look for what's happening in this that's for my benefit, even if on the surface of it, it might look like a problem or an inconvenience or a disaster. Exactly like you're describing. Okay, so I'm stuck in traffic. I do this as well. Like, oh my God, the traffic's horrendous. I'm never going to get to the office. And then I think, Emer, you've asked for a space, car parking space at the office. And you want it to be there, this is middle of town. Car spaces don't hang around that often. You get a 2-minute window when a parking space becomes available. So if I arrive too early, and I've done this, I've arrived too early, and because I took a shortcut or I took a different way, and then I'm sitting there waiting for the space. When I just go with the flow of the traffic, I drive up here, and usually my favorite space is available. The one most convenient. So these energies are always operating in us. Our mindset is what selects what we're most aligned with. Gratitude will always align us with love. And more love. So no matter what's happening, no matter what we're feeling, if we can also have a feeling of gratitude beside that, the healing will happen faster. Similarly, if we're doing pretty well, life is good, lots of gratitude, and then we sort of start forgetting to be grateful, we start kind of feeling maybe a sense of entitlement. That can happen when things are running well for a while. And our nose can be out of joint if something happens that we felt ought to have happened. We can be very easily knocked over to the other side of complaining and this shouldn't have happened. And so it can feel like a delicate balance sometimes, between the two. But the more that we practice that soul connection, that inner connection, through our meditation or through our mindfulness, things like that, the more easy it becomes to trust that whatever happens is for my benefit. Whatever happens is for my good. Even if on the surface of it, it might look difficult or inconvenient or whatever, or fearful.